I found out my wife was cheating because she suddenly developed a deep spiritual connection to yoga. Not fitness, not flexibility, spiritual connection. For 10 years, my wife Claire treated yoga like a cult for people who hated chairs. She used to say, "If I want to lie on the floor and breathe weirdly, I'll just have a panic attack like a normal person." Then one Tuesday, she came home with a cork mat, Himalayan salt spray, loose linen pants, and the personality of someone who'd been opened. We were married 10 years, no kids, Portland, Oregon. I worked in municipal IT. She worked in event planning. We were that couple everyone assumed would grow old quietly and complain about traffic together. Then she found enlightenment. She started saying things like energy and alignment and "I'm shedding old versions of myself." She stopped eating gluten, dairy, joy. She woke up at 5 a.m. to journal. She saged the house. She asked me not to interrupt her breath work. The cheating itself wasn't hard to spot. It was the yoga instructor. Of course it was. Evan, 34, man bun, barefoot year-round, voice like NPR during a thunderstorm, taught power flow for emotional release. Married? No, of course not. Claire started going to yoga 5 nights a week. 5. She'd come home glowing, not sweaty, not tired, glowing, like someone who'd just been chosen for something. She also started criticizing me, my energy, my attachment, my need for structure. That's when I knew. Cheaters always turn philosophical. It's how they justify it to themselves. If they frame betrayal as growth, they don't have to feel like villains. I didn't confront her, because this wasn't going to be a sad divorce. This was going to be a community experience. Claire's entire personality now revolved around yoga. Her friends, her Instagram, her work events, everything tied back to that studio, Sacred Flow Collective. So I joined. Yes, I joined her yoga studio. First class, I showed up in basketball shorts and a Metallica t-shirt. Evan didn't hide his annoyance. Claire looked like she'd swallowed a bee. I smiled. I became the most enthusiastic student there. Front row, every class, asking questions. "Evan, can you explain that pose again?" Wow, I really felt something there. Is this chakra supposed to burn? The room loved me. I tipped. I complimented. I signed up for workshops. I joined the mailing list. I followed the studio Instagram. And I listened. Yoga people talk. They talk while stretching, while rolling mats, while oversharing about their trauma. That's how I learned Evan was connecting deeply with Claire. That's how I learned he was helping her release marital constraints. That's how I learned he was sleeping with 3 other students. Namaste, indeed. I gathered receipts quietly, studio DMs, Instagram comments, photos posted and deleted, Venmo payments labeled session. Then came the retreat, a weekend retreat in Bend, mountains, cabins, digital detox. Claire told me it was women only. It wasn't. I checked the website. I signed up. Different cabin, same retreat. The first night, everyone sat in a circle, sharing intentions. Claire said, "I'm here to step into my truth." Evan nodded at her like a proud shepherd. I smiled and said, "I'm here to observe." Evan didn't like that. The second night was the bonfire. Wine, drums, breathwork, emotional vomiting disguised as healing. That's when Evan kissed Claire. Not discreetly, in front of 3 people, one of whom was live streaming. I didn't interrupt. I recorded. The final day was the closing ceremony. Everyone gathered in the main hall. Evan stood at the center, shirtless, talking about authenticity. That's when I stood up. "I have a question," I said. The room quieted. "What happens when authenticity overlaps?" I asked. Then I connected my phone to the projector. I played a slideshow. Photos, messages, Venmo receipts, Evan with Claire, Evan with 2 other women. Evan's DMs overlapping in timestamps. I titled it, Sacred Flow of Information. Silence, then chaos. Someone screamed. Someone cried. Someone yelled, "I knew it!" Claire stared at me like I'd set her religion on fire. Evan tried to speak. No one listened. The retreat ended early. The studio shut down within a month. Claire moved out. She tried to tell people I was abusive. Hard to sell that story when half the yoga community had screenshots. 6 months later, I ran into Evan, working at a smoothie bar, barefoot, still enlightened. He said, "You didn't have to do that." I smiled. "You taught me authenticity," I said. "I just practiced." Claire sent me an email a year later. She said I humiliated her, that I destroyed her spiritual journey. I replied with one sentence, "Growth hurts." Blocked. Now I do yoga twice a week, not for enlightenment, for flexibility. And sometimes when the instructor says, "Release what no longer serves you," I smile, because I already did.